Thanks to Gearbox Software for sponsoring this investigation into the galaxy of Homeworld. The Fleet of the Veil, under the mysterious rule of the Incarnate, is one of two factions you can lead into grand interstellar battles in Homeworld 3. Squadrons of starfighters, escorts, and capital ships all await your command, either on Steam or the Epic Game Store. Homeworld 3 is out today, so be sure to use the link in the description to grab yourself a copy.
For untold millennia, the megalith known as the Eye of Aran had been nothing more than a wreck, until the Age of Sajet. Now, it is known that the Eye is one of many entrances to the great network of hyperspace gates, and for the first time, distant, forgotten regions of the galaxy are suddenly in reach. The trade lanes are expanding, and civilization is on the verge of a new golden age. But in a distant corner of the network, feared as the anomaly, rumors of a growing darkness are beginning to form. On the edge of this remote borderland, privateers, mercenaries, explorers, and other fringe elements that thrive beyond the frontiers of the civilized galaxy are all reporting the same sightings. Fleets of warships are prowling like sharks in the void, all emblazoned with the same dire markings. A vast, lidless eye, burning with the light of revelation. There is no longer any doubt. The Gate Network has brought a new power into reach, one of great and terrible aspect. Rumors and myth claim that billions of souls on hundreds of worlds have been consumed by this darkness, enslaved in body and mind to the service of a single, terrifying will. They are whispered to be fanatical in their devotion, foregoing all reason in their drive to become that will incarnate. None of this can be said with certainty, for between the truth of this hidden empire and those that would pursue it stands the Fleet of the Veil. Despite all that remains unknown about the self-ascribed Incarnate, the organization of their fleet appears remarkably conventional. Their interstellar forces utilize the same basic classes of warships found in the Higaran or Taidan navies, and reconnaissance has revealed a network of bases, shipyards, and fleet anchorages scattered across their territories within the anomaly. The Fleet of the Veil might refer to a major subunit within a larger structure, or the entire military apparatus of the Incarnate as a whole, but regardless, it represents a massive and formidable entity able to mobilize immense military power across interstellar space. It is known to operate several carrier groups, battlecruiser lines, and an array of smaller flotillas, patrols, and other formations. At the apex of this armada's leadership is the War Sage, a mysterious figure within the Incarnate, who may be the equivalent of an admiral or a member of some sort of governing council. A few speculate he is the true power behind the entire Incarnate, though intercepted radio traffic suggests he is ultimately beholden to a greater power. Though the study of Incarnate military doctrine is in its infancy, several general assessments can be applied across its forces as a whole. They appear to favor firepower and maneuverability above protection or crew comforts, which are essentially non-existent. This has resulted in strikecraft and warships whose arsenals can match or exceed their counterparts in the Higaran Navy in terms of sheer destructive output. Much attention and concern has been directed towards the solid-state flechette rounds used aboard their fighters and corvettes, as well as the enhanced ion beams and missile tracking systems common on their larger warships. The sophistication of these systems suggests that the Incarnate may have reverse-engineered progenitor technology rather than developing it independently. But the aggressive design of Incarnate warships has come at a cost. By the standards of Higara, their protection systems are underdeveloped, and broadly speaking, individual ships are less capable of taking sustained enemy fire. Captured vessels, though limited in number, reveal a startling lack of concern for the health of their crews, with incredibly cramped working and living spaces, poor ventilation, non-existent noise insulation, and an increased likelihood of exposure to dangerous radiation and chemicals. Notably, escape measures and other safety systems are nearly non-existent. And yet, while conditions such as these might cause extreme psychological stress, or even be lethal after only a few dozen deployments, the Fleet of the Veil does not appear to have been negatively affected to any observable degree. Meaning, it either operates a massive internal crew cycling and recuperation program, or more likely, it can draw from a massive pool of manpower and find it economical to simply work its crews to death. The lack of attention given to the preservation of its crews, and the unequal focus on firepower that is inherent to Incarnate doctrine might make the Fleet of the Veil appear straightforward or unbalanced in how they engage an enemy. And yet, in both less intensive skirmishes between scattered squadrons or escorts, and larger fleet actions consisting of hundreds of vessels, the tactics and strategies employed by the Incarnate are quite sophisticated. Individual warships, particularly those of the frigate class, are highly specialized and designed to work in tandem with one another. While certain ships might be vulnerable on their own, they collectively mitigate these individual weaknesses, allowing for a dynamic and flexible response. The result is battle doctrine that on the surface appears aggressive and relentless, but has in fact been meticulously calculated to utilize the zealousness and fanaticism of the Incarnate's followers. The Serpent class, designated a space-dominant strike craft, forms the mainstay of the Incarnate's fighter corps. It is a dedicated interceptor and dogfighter, with the Fleet of the Veil not known to use any reconnaissance, bomber, or multi-role craft. These fighters are almost always deployed in large numbers, relying on saturation attacks and a total disregard for their own survival during sorties. Corvettes instead form the main element of the Incarnate's smaller, more maneuverable forces. In addition to dedicated anti-strike craft and anti-capital designs, several electronic warfare classes exist, reportedly able to disrupt the fusion process within the reactors of targeted warships, leaving them vulnerable to boarding actions. Incarnate frigates are where the specialized nature of their doctrine is most apparent. Individual classes of warship, each armed with enlarged flechette cannons, enhanced ion beams, clustered or smart missile systems have all been observed, almost always operating together in tight formations. The Devastator-class destroyer and Butcher-class battlecruiser each represent the culmination of the Incarnate's military power within a distinct realm of interstellar warfare. Both feature extended arsenals of short and long-ranged weaponry, foregoing the stark specialization of smaller ship classes. The Butcher class is further enhanced with extensive flag facilities, allowing it to coordinate the operations of larger formations and battle groups. Other non-combatant ships have been sighted across the armadas of the Incarnate, but it is these warships that will form the striking elements of the Fleet of the Veil in the unfolding war. With the great hyperspace network unlocked, regions of the galaxy far removed from civilization for generations are now suddenly in reach. But the inverse is also true. The vast distances that once separated the great powers of the galaxy have suddenly been removed. The age of Sajet was supposed to be heralded by great armadas of explorers setting forth into the gates, and yet it might be what emerges from behind those gates that truly defines this age. The first great test has already arrived, and it is guarded by the Fleet of the Veil.
Thanks again to Gearbox Software for sponsoring this investigation into the galaxy of Homeworld. To get your copy of Homeworld 3 and lead the Incarnate into battle, be sure to follow our link in the video description.